Hey, it's Shamaree. I'm a marriage and family therapist turned intimacy coach and relationship expert, and I empower women to be fully uninhibited and fulfilled in their intimate and sexual relationships. I am back. It's been a minute since I've done a live. So I'm coming back though. I'm coming back slowly but surely. So I have this live scheduled today. We're talking about scheduling sex and what if you should be doing that, or what it says about your relationship, all of the things, because this comes up a lot in the media, obviously, but then also when I'm speaking to clients or when people come to me or send me questions, people have very strong feelings about this, and so I wanted to bring it up because I've been having a lot of conversations about it, and essentially, first and foremost, talking about scheduling sex. So what is that? Why would we say that? If you see a sex therapist, if you see sometimes a regular therapist, if you see someone who's coaching you around your intimacy and your sex life, most of those people are going to recommend that you schedule sex. So when you're in a long-term relationship, especially if you live together, cohabitating, sometimes life gets in the way. Life happens. It does not mean that you do not like this person. You're no longer attracted to this person, because that is a belief that a lot of people have. They're two separate things. You can still love this person, you can still be highly attracted to this person and still not find the time for sex. Life happens, and especially when you're in a long-term relationship or if you're living together, a lot of times we have the belief that we always have time. So, all right, tomorrow, I'm sorry, I'm tired, tomorrow, right? And we always have that tomorrow because that person is always going to be there, right? And so that happens. And why we recommend scheduling it is because it shows not only that it's a priority to you, because typically we don't schedule things that are not important, things that don't matter. We don't put it all in our calendar, right? So if we are putting it in our calendar, it is something that matters to us. It shows that we value it, that it's something that we really care about. It's going to show that to your partner, which is great if they feel like maybe you don't like them, if you've been turning them down a lot. But then it also shows yourself that you value it. It's important to you. And so always recommend scheduling it because of that reason. And a lot of times when I mention this to clients or just people in general, they're like, but it should be spontaneous. You should want to do it. You shouldn't have to schedule it. If you're scheduling it, something's wrong. And I will go to war for this, but most of us have always scheduled it, at least 90% of the time, right? So if you think back historically, if you think about your whole sexual career, right? If you've started early, like me, then usually you are scheduling it because you're trying to find a location, somewhere you're permitted to have sex. So you're scheduling it ahead of time. You're not just showing up and doing it, because a lot of us could not have sex in our house. Maybe you couldn't have sex in your boyfriend or girlfriend's house. Maybe you didn't have a safe place, right? And so you have to think about this ahead of time. You were scheduling it. And if you got a little bit older, and you start living life, right? We start to have jobs. Maybe we're in school, college, grad school, whatever. We start to have things that go on in our lives. And so we're setting up dates. So even if you don't necessarily plan to have sex at the end of the date, a lot of times we know that is a possibility, right? And so when we're going into these dates, we prepare ourselves a lot of times, even if we don't want to do it. Even if we think, he's not going to get none, a lot of times we are preparing ourselves just in case. So again, that is scheduling it. You're planning ahead, right? You're anticipating that something's going to happen. So again, if you started when you were a teenager, you're planning it because you're figuring out where we're going to go, how we're going to do it, what day you're free. You are planning it, right? So you get a little bit older, you start having a job, maybe you're in school, you have classes, you have other things to do, right? So you're still planning around your schedule. You're finding the time. And even if it's a friends with benefits situation, they send you that text, that you up text, that what you doing text, you know ahead of time what's going to happen, right? So again, that is a plan. Even if it's a 10-minute ahead of time, like you're setting up 10 minutes beforehand. That's still planning it. That's still scheduling it. And so, like I said, most of us, for most of our sexual career, we have already been scheduling it. So to think that it should spontaneously start to happen as we are in a serious relationship, we live together now, so now we should stop planning it and it should just happen. It doesn't make sense logically, right? And if as humans, we're creatures of habit. If we haven't been doing that spontaneously, what makes you think that you're suddenly going to wake up and now, oh, we live together, or now we're married, or now we're in a serious relationship, we're suddenly going to be doing it all the time spontaneously? It's just not realistic. So I always, like I said, schedule it. You've been scheduling it. You've been planning it. Continue to do so. Some of the other benefits that come along when you are scheduling it, other than noticing or showing that it's a priority, demonstrating that it's important to you, it also allows you to build anticipation. And I did mention this when I was explaining before, but anticipation, if you know that it's coming, you can start to work yourself up to it, right? You can start to think about all of the things that you want to do, or all the things you want to try, what you want to feel, what you want to experience, and that builds anticipation. That can add to the desire, and it can add to the arousal that you experience during your sexual encounter, right? And so anticipation, it helps for sure. And then another thing that I wanted to mention, other than the anticipation, it also gives you time to prepare, right? And so a lot of times, if you have any issues with physical arousal, or like getting yourself in the mood, if you have like a lower libido, this allows you ample time to prepare yourself. So if you are the type of person who needs to feel a certain way, so maybe you want to take care of yourself, maybe you need to like take a nice shower or a bath to relax yourself, if you need to use some smell goods, if you need to like rub yourself down with a specific moisturizer, like you can do all of those things to get yourself in that space that you need to be in so you can feel your most confident. You can also get yourself aroused prior to, so you're not waiting until you guys get into the moment and now pressure's on, now you're trying to get immediately aroused, and it doesn't always work that way. So this allows you the time to slowly work up to it. So if you need to set the mood, set the scene, whatever that looks like for you. So if you need to get the music going, some candles going, some mood lighting, if you need to put on a certain outfit and feel like this certain texture on your body, it allows you all of that time to get all of those things in place, because you know that it's going to happen Friday night around 7. You don't have to have a specific time all of the time, but we want to make sure that we have a specific plan for it, right? And when we're saying schedule, of course life happens, things come up, right? So just like with a doctor's appointment, if something else, an emergency comes up, I might have to cancel that appointment, right? But I'm not making it a habit of every time I set an appointment that I'm going to cancel it, right? So it happens every once in a while. If it does, you reschedule, right? So if I cancel my appointment with the doctor, I'm going to call them up like, okay, I can't make it today, but I can make it these days. Do you have an appointment for these days? So if you're going to cancel, which I do not recommend doing very often, but if life happens, you can, but you want to make sure that you're also rescheduling at the same time that you're canceling, so that you're not going without having an appointment for extended periods of time, right? And then over time, typically, usually, the more that you kind of get into a pattern of things, like I said, we're creatures of habit. We do things consistently. So once you start to schedule it, it becomes a little bit easier to start to do it around that time, or even finding additional periods of time that you can, right? And so that is why I always recommend it. And like I said, I will go to war for it. You've been scheduling it. Why do you think that suddenly you should stop, and that it's still going to happen as frequently or even more frequently than it was happening before, when you were setting dates up and you were setting dick appointments and all of those things, right? So you gotta show that it's important to you. This is one way to do so, and it takes the pressure off too, because now we both know what's going to happen. Sometimes when we're trying to woo somebody or convince somebody, seduce them, especially for women, that's who I work with. A lot of women come to me and they have a hard time initiating or asking for what they want. And scheduling is another way that you can kind of set up a situation where, okay, on this day, I think, at least at this point, that I might be in a space where I can make room for our sex. And it allows you the opportunity to go into it knowing that this is what's going to happen, so you don't feel all of the pressure to try to figure out how am I going to seduce this person, how I'm going to turn them on and get them in the mood. And so that is what I have about scheduling sex. But since we're here, I do want to also let you guys know I am accepting one-on-one clients. So if you are struggling with your intimacy or with your sex in any way, and you're a woman, you're looking to get that together, you want to figure something out so you can feel satisfied, so that you can feel happy with what you're doing and you can experience pleasure, then I am happy to help. Check the link in my bio, and you can go ahead and schedule. It's a free 30-minute breakthrough call. I also have a freebie, so if you have sex, then you need to get the freebie. It's 69 sex questions. It's also like a fun little activity, something you can do even with friends or even just by yourself, because I think that everyone should get a little bit more comfortable with talking about sex. It's not this huge taboo thing, or it shouldn't have to be. It's something that a lot of us are doing in one way or another, so we definitely should feel a little bit more comfortable with speaking about it. I have courses and I have a workbook, if you see back there. So there's a lot of tools that can help you with this. If you have any other specific questions or anything, then definitely go ahead and drop them in the comments below. You can send me a DM if you want to be a little bit more private. I don't do like coaching in the DM, but if it's a quick little question, then I'm more than happy to give you a quick answer or direct you to some content that can answer the question for you. Again, I'm back. I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent, get back to getting used to being here with you guys. And so maybe like every couple of weeks, maybe not every week to start, just so that I'm not overcommitting myself, and I got to get used to being back here. And so definitely look out for that. I'll be posting the announcement, and I think I'll be a little bit more like in advance. Like I'll let you guys know in advance and not just pop up on you. So definitely enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said, drop a comment or send me a DM if you need anything else. See you guys.